Welcome back to episode 2 of the Off the Rails podcast, also known as the OTR podcast. In studio today with us, we have Michael Weber, a.k.a. Lil Web.
Yeah.
We'll get to you in a second, but first I got to do my reads. This is our second episode. Episode 1 came out January 5th, so this one will be up next Tuesday, or this Tuesday really now, January 12th. We figured that date out from last episode, thankfully. But you can follow us on Instagram at otr.pod, at otrpod. You can see our shared clips there, pictures, updates. We'll also be sharing clips from the podcast onto our Facebook page as well. But you can find the full podcast in video form on YouTube and the full podcast in audio form anywhere you listen to podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor. We'll have those links out there so that you can find them regardless. And we'll need to announce our giveaway 2 winner, not 3. I was wrong. This is the second one. So winner 2 is going to win our portable TV that you can take on the road with you. You can put in your house, whatever you want to do with it. You can take it to some tailgates, watch some of our broadcasts, or you can use it at home for your needs. Hey, thanks, Past Caleb. This is Caleb from the future here to announce our giveaway 2 winner for the portable TV over here. You can't see it. If you're listening on audio, you definitely can't see it. But congratulations, Stefan Kendall from Raleigh, North Carolina. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button on Spotify. That's how you won. There were a few different ways to win, but you won through the best way possible by hitting the subscribe button here on the OTR podcast. So thank you. And giveaway 3 starts now. Back to you, Past Caleb. But that was our second giveaway. We need to announce our third giveaway for this podcast that we will be announcing our third podcast. It is a, drum roll please. Oh. You can see it if you're watching the video format, but if you're not, we're going to have to explain it to you. So we're really trying to target our moms and dads in the audience this time because I'm sure we have an overwhelmingly male viewership. But we're going to try and expand our broadcast reach. So we're going to give away a Cuisinart 12-cup programmable coffee maker. I just bought this for myself, and I was like, well, I should probably get one of those too for someone else because we needed a third giveaway item. So you can win that by going to our Instagram, going to our Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching this, and hit that link. It'll take you to our giveaway. You can enter that by subscribing, following the podcast. Just follow the directions through that link. It'll be the main link in our description, and you can get that info. And make sure you guys are using the hashtag OTR podcast when you're sharing this stuff out. That's another good way to enter giveaways. We're going to be giving away some pictures. No, we're not. We're not going to give away pictures. We're going to give away some T-shirts. That's what I meant to say. For our new OTR podcast T-shirts, we're going to be getting those soon. That's also, if you don't win one, you can buy one or you can support us. That's another good way to help us continue doing these podcasts. But let's jump into today's discussion because I have said everything I need to say as far as intro. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you guys Michael Weber of Lil Web Productions. Is that correct? Lil Web Productions. And tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and a little bit about what you do.
Well, so far, I am into sports media, so far filming-wise and all that. I do my own stuff, but I also do some freelance stuff, kind of like, I do some stuff for store travels and stuff for, like, the Earls Basketball Association, and here soon, the new Ohio Volleyball Association soon. Right. So, that'll be pretty fun, so doing a bunch of stuff video-wise, and yeah, so far it's been pretty fun. And also, back then, I was a former football player in high school for Cambridge. Didn't really start in any varsity games, but still, I had a lot of fun.
A good time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today. And one more thing before we get going, because I've forgotten last episode too. We're supposed to be joined by a mystery man named Ethan Clewell. He usually will be sitting over here to our left, but he is still out of the office with a sickness, per se. We can say it. He has coronavirus, or he did. I think his last day is tomorrow, so he'll be back for every other episode. But until then, we don't have any fact checks. don't know why we'd really need them. We're not going crazy political, I guess, but we don't have anyone to really help us look up any info. We're going to be doing all the switching manually, but that's okay. We're going to get through it, and it's going to sound just fine. So you do a lot of production stuff too. I do as well. That's why we're doing this. But what got you kind of into the sports media stuff?
Well, ever since I was like, even when I was young in middle school, and that's me and my brother used to make like little funny short videos, whether it be like slideshows and that. And we had a lot of fun doing those. And then later on, as Rick went to college and I went to high school, Rick started doing a bunch of vlogs and all that. And I was just like, maybe I should start doing that. So my junior year, I got the idea, since there really hasn't been many YouTubers doing like game day things with like high school football.
Right.
I was thinking about doing like game day vlogs and stuff like that. And picked the right time to do that, because that was when we went to the playoffs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it was great to kind of do vlogs and that, to show how the team went to the playoffs and all that, and all the fun that was leading up to that point. And then senior year, I decided to turn it into, I think it was my junior year. I started turning it into like highlights for like basketball and stuff, because I didn't have anything to do in the winter and stuff like that. So I just started filming basketball, and then when Earl's basketball filming, that's my senior year. And that year they made to regionals, so again, perfect timing for that. So yeah, and then it led to a whole bunch of other things. Like Store Rivals contacted me right like my senior year, and was like, hey, if you're interested, we can have you come to some games and do some social media. So started doing that, and then later on it led to me being a videographer for them during football season the next year. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you said you started with the game day stuff. Now walk me through what a game day vlog looks like. Are you just going to the games like Storied Rivals and doing highlights, or are you going a little before, getting a little bit of like what the day looks like for the players more?
It's kind of like what the day kind of looks like for the players. Like usually I start out in the morning, like me like waking up in the morning kind of, and just like on my way to school and all that. Then it heads right to like after school. Like sometimes I would be going to eat my pre-game meal, and my senior year I actually turned that to where I did a poll. I would do like a poll thing where I would like have two options for fast food places, and I'd have people put down like votes which place I should go to, and I'd check the poll. I'd have it timed so that way right after school I can check the results, and then I can check the results, and that's where I would be on, would be what people would most voted. So it was kind of fun doing that part. And then I'd get to the locker room, and then we do pre-game festivities and stuff like that. Like we'd be jamming to some music and all that, and sometimes walking around on the field just to like get a feel for stuff. And if it's a weight game, I would like get some footage of us in on the bus and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool. And so you did, this was in high school still when you were doing this? So some poll, you were interacting with your fans or your following at a pretty early age just to get. That's pretty cool. I never even think of something like that. So that's really cool to do, that fan engagement, that student even engagement. I'm sure you had a lot of students following you from the area too. But what's next for you? What do you got planned for 2021? I know we're just getting into it. Me and you both, we really haven't had much to do yet. It's for everyone, it's the 12th, so we've probably done some games by then. But for us right now, it's only January 4th? Yeah. So what do you got planned for this year, the whole year maybe, or even just, at the beginning of the year, maybe even football season? So
yeah, well, so far, of course, basketball season's still going on, so
right.
Gonna do some highlights of that, and then later on I'll go into spring sports and all that. But eventually I want to start doing motivational videos.
Okay.
Because with my story and all that, I wanted to someday be a motivational speaker. So
yeah, and we'll get into that. Okay.
Yeah. And then also I think I want to do like a couple of documentaries. I was working on one this last year during February, but then COVID happened and all that, and
yeah.
It was gonna be about like esports, like how it's grown so much to like now high schools and even some middle schools.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
It's becoming very big, right? It's an easy way for students to get involved, and maybe they're not the best at something like basketball or football. I was probably the same way, except I played basketball and a little bit of football. I didn't play, but I was really into the gaming, So if I would have had that opportunity in high school to play, esports, I might have done that, because same thing. It all kind of ties together, the gaming and then getting into computer stuff and then video and all that. But that would have been a cool documentary. We might have to. I'm excited to see what you do with that in the future. But
oh yeah.
now you had a. What was it? Was it this one? The Why I Play Football? Was that how long ago was that video?
That one, I came out with that video like the beginning of senior year.
Yeah.
Like I posted that like the day before our preview against iTrail and all that. And as soon as I posted the video, so many people were.
It blew up, didn't it?
Oh yeah, like I had like so many notifications going off on Twitter of like people retweeting it, sharing it all over the place.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was thinking, what was the video series you did for Cambridge this season, going in for football season?
That one, it was Radar Academy.
Yeah, that's right.
In that, yeah, there's actually 3 seasons of it. First season's like the first preseason where it's like they have a brand new head coach. I wanted to kind of show how that is, and then second one was, well, I wanted to do like a game week. I wanted to do the rivalry game, but that one I was really busy at the time, so the only one I can do was the Bel Air game. But that one turned out to be really good, because that was like one of the best games of the season. Although,
really?
Although it ended in a loss, but
still a good game, right? It was exciting, at least.
Oh yeah, triple overtime. It was.
Yeah, no, I like that series. I was watching it a lot when you were putting those out. And actually, since people are listening and watching, what's a good place for them to find you to watch this content?
You can find on my YouTube channel, just search Lil Web, and then it should pop up. Plus, it's also in the playlist. I have playlists for each of the seasons and all that. Like recently, the third season, that one, preseason returns. That one, probably one of my best ones, is that one. I had like a new camera and everything like that. And
oh yeah. Now, what camera did you end up getting now?
I now have a Canon G7S.
Cool.
So I got that one because my brother used that one as well, and all that.
And now your brother, he did some of the vlogs, some of that stuff. Now he is a DJ, is that correct?
Yep.
And what kind of stuff does he do out? Is he still in the area? Is he somewhere else? What's he doing?
He now lives in North Carolina, and that he's starting his own DJ business there. It's pretty cool and all that. He's I think it's like he's out like so many subscribers on there. Like, really? It's like 20 or 30,000. I'm man. I'm still stuck at 600 or 700.
Oh, not after this podcast. We're gonna have you in the millions. Maybe negative millions. We don't have very many followers yet, but you're part of it. You're the second pioneer. Actually, Eli was on here last episode, and you two went to school together, didn't you?
Oh yeah, me and him went to the same high school, same class, and I remember talent show. Me and him were pretty much like the stars of it, as he was on the drums and I was breakdancing later on. So.
Oh, that's funny. Now, tying all that together with the sports and everything, I know one of the main talking points is going to be your story. So, you want to talk us through a little bit of that? Your earlier years. How that affected you, how autism affected you during that time, and how you're doing now, and what your future goals are.
Yeah. So basically, at the age of 3, I was diagnosed with autism, and originally they originally diagnosed me with Asperger's, okay, which is like somewhere on the spectrum, but
I think Eminem has that, Asperger's.
Yeah,
he mentions it in a few songs, I think.
Yeah, and then also later on they then said that it was actually high function autism, which, yeah, it's kind of like a lower progression. I have autism, like,
okay,
but it still kind of affects me a little bit. Like, originally when I was really like 5 or 6 years old, I had trouble like trying to walk correctly, kind of. And then later on, it was still like speech. Like, I couldn't pronounce my K's or G sounds.
Okay.
And all that. So it led to a lot of interest in like kind of experiences.
Right. What now how did that affect you during, you talked earlier, how much did that affect you during middle school or even high school? And how did that make you who you are today and what you're doing now? Because this is awesome to have you on, and you're doing the production stuff just like us. And I love seeing you at games. I'll see a lot of the Cambridge games. I know that, but walk us a little bit through that as well.
Throughout elementary school and all throughout middle school and some high school, I had to like go out of classes from time to time, do speech therapy and stuff like that. And it kind of helped me. I mean, it progressed to where I am now pronounce some of it correctly. Mm-hmm. But and then also middle school, I still wasn't like taught my Hayes and G sounds right, and I remember some people just started picking on me for it and stuff like that. And then, I have been bullied constantly during middle school.
And how did that make you? Did it make you stronger? You think over time? And
yeah.
Did you have anyone you could confide with at school? Who were some of your friends there?
Well, I had a few like really close friends of mine from elementary school. One of mine was even friends with me since preschool, and that. But then, but there were so many people like picking on me that it was just hard to try to find somebody to talk to, as it was.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would be busy in that, and then also it was kind of weird. As the cycling was like, somebody would start picking on me, and then I'd go to the principal and talk about it and all that, and then they'd get in trouble. But then as soon as I feel like as if I finally got him off my bat, then all of a sudden there'll be more.
Yeah.
Or in that, it was kind of like the analogy of like if you cut the head off of one, like two more appear.
The Hydra, is that what it is? I think that's what it is.
It was like something
has 3 heads, and then if you cut one off, it grows 2 more. Yeah, I've heard that. Now, was middle school? Did it continue into high school, or did did people grow up? Some people don't. But how did that work?
I mean, when I did go into high school, there were still a few, but I don't know. It's just there wasn't as many.
Yeah.
But and then also in high school, or since I was the underclassman, you had some of the upperclassmen who.
Right. And did you play football? When did you start playing football? So, did you start in high school, or was it more? Did you start earlier, or?
Well, during elementary school, I actually played flight football.
Okay. Yeah, I think I played that too. We might have.
But I wanted
the same field. I don't know. So.
Yeah, yeah. But then after 5th grade, I was like talking to my parents. I was like, I want to do tackle football, but they said nah, like because the other thing with autism, I think I don't know if it was with autism or if it was something else, but it was like I had like a really like high pain tolerance when it comes to like broken bones or something. So they were worried about.
You wouldn't really know even if.
Yeah. And stuff like that. So because how they found out was one time my eardrum burst once overnight, and I didn't even know until I noticed blood on the pillow.
But you didn't feel it?
Nah, I didn't really feel.
Well, you're lucky. Those I have a lot of. I still do. As a kid, I would get a lot of ear infections, and those would hurt. But I think I did 2 of the ear tube surgeries on this ear and 1 or 2 on this ear, and when those things burst, I think that's up there with some of the worst pain. But it's very difficult. So, sorry, when did you get back into football?
Well, what got me back into football was throughout high school and all that, I was water boy and stuff like that for the high school team. So that was like kind of my way of being in high football. But then freshman year, I was still team manager and stuff like that. And then going into my sophomore year, I was still team manager going into preseason. And then one night, my parents walked into the room before I was going to bed, and they said, "Look, like you're now like 16 and all that. You know the risks of all this, so we're gonna let you decide if you want to play football or not. So me being wanting to play football, and plus I was already going through a bunch of like depression and all that.
Yeah.
I was like, this is such a big moment. So I was just like, I'm gonna do it immediately. So next day, went into coach's office and said, I want to play football on that. And Coach Un looked at me and said, all right, we'll get your football helmet here soon. But until then, we'll have you walking around with the team and all that. And the whole team, I rallied around that. They were just like, I welcomed me and all that. And it was pretty fun.
Cool. And now you were playing football too. When did you do the Why I Play Football? That was your senior year?
Yeah.
And so what was, I know obviously Why I Play Football, it's going to be about why you played football, but walk us a little bit through that video as well. Maybe, some of the key points of it. And, I'd seen some of it, but for people that haven't seen it, tell them a little bit about what it's about, who, maybe some people that inspired you to make that even. I don't know if there is anybody, but go for that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. What got me into doing the video was, I was like, knowing that I have such a cool story in that and not many people know about it, I was like, this would be the perfect time, like, going into my senior year, this would be the one time to, like, show the inspirational side of me. Mm-hmm. And also, throughout the video, I was mentioning about, like, how I was picked on sometimes, and then what got me into football was I was looking for more friends and that. So
yeah, and your team there in Cambridge, they rallied around you pretty well and
like
took you in and were like, you're one. Like as soon as you walked into that office, right? I'm playing, and then you walk right out, and they're like, "Welcome to the team."
Yeah, throughout my sophomore year, there was a few times where I was picked on, but luckily, I had teammates to help me out, whether it was if I was having a bad day or if, like, they were still inting on me or stuff like that. And so I still had really close teammates, and I'm still really close friends with some of them to this day.
Yeah, who are some of those guys that you played with?
Some of them, a few of the key ones, like, there were so many of them, but the key ones, probably Alex Valentine, and probably Connor Lepla.
Yeah.
On them.
And those guys, I know Lepla. I've heard of Alex. What are they doing now? Are they in school now? Or are they in college?
Yeah, I think Lepla. I think he's still in college and that. But Alex Valentine, he goes to OU.
Okay.
So.
OU. Where's that? Is that Mount Union? I forget. Where's the one place you went and saw the guy that does the YouTube vlogs?
Mount Union.
Is that what's his name again?
Devontae Freya.
And he does. He's a football player. Is that right?
Basketball.
Or basketball. You're right. He's a basketball player, and he does vlogs and all that kind of stuff. You got to meet him, actually, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to meet him a couple of times. I got to meet him once when Miss Enum was playing, and because also I wanted to see Alex Massinelli because he was playing college and that. And then the second time was when Mount Union was in the Division III tournaments, and that one was really cool.
And you made a vlog about that, didn't you?
Oh yeah, one of the players for Mount Union scored 53 points in the game. So it was like, holy crap.
How about them Buckeyes?
Oh,
putting a little bit of a beating on Clemson, right? That makes them what, the number 12 team in the country? Is that how that works?
Oh man, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen so many people talking about how Dabo was taunting.
Oh, that's all I heard while we were watching the game is people saying that. But yeah, they're moving on now. They play what? They play yesterday. Yeah, because it's the 12th. But they play what, the 11th? Is that right? Or
yeah, they play the 11th against Alabama, depending on how things go. As there's
right, they can still. You don't know what's going to happen, but
yeah. I know Ohio State still has some problems with COVID.
Yeah. So what are you thinking? What are your predictions?
I mean, I don't really want to make prediction just yet, as that was still shocking, but I'm hoping Ohio State will keep it close.
How about Fields' perseverance there on the field?
The way that he came back from the season, that's how he was having a bit of a rough time there on towards the end, and then it immediately just during this playoffs, he just turns into another beast. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of Hardale Jones.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was like,
that. What
yeah.
are some of your favorite sports? Maybe even memory. Let's do memories first. What are some of your favorite football memories? You know, whether that's games or just practice time or whatever it is. What are some of those?
Definitely my favorite one to, of course, remember for varsity-wise was, of course, playoffs. When we got to go to Johnstown and all that, as that one. Just the experience of being a part of playoffs and also knowing that, like, nobody's done this in the past, ever since 2006 when they went undefeated and all that. So it was like to be a part of history and all that. It was just so amazing.
Oh, and you know as well as me because you've been filming football and stuff now too. But there's nothing like going to a playoff game and just being I didn't really play football in high school, but even just being on the sideline with a camera, you're like, this is this is unreal. So
like one time I went with Stora Davos to when Lincoln Valley was in the state semifinals, I think, against Girard at New Philly. I think it was at New Philly or Dover. But I just remember being on the sidelines of that and the noise of the crowd. It was like, oh my goodness, and it was really, really close aim that one.
And do you miss the noise of the crowd? With 2020 being how it was,
yeah,
it's hard to. I don't know how the NBA and these football players. I don't know how they have any motivation to play. It's it'd feel like practice, but some of those guys are actually thriving. Like I know there's some I don't know their names, but there's some of the NBA guys that were doing really, really good in the bubble.
Oh yeah,
that weren't doing real good beforehand.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like I feel like some players it's like. Sometimes they feed off the energy of fans and all that, so that impacts it. But also, there's just some that like, even when they're like, sometimes they can be in like the gym during like a pickup game, and they'll be on off with like so many points and doing so many assists. Oh. So it's like some of those players, it's like I don't know if it's like they have like a switch where it's like just when they step on the court, it's just they're just focused in.
Yeah, I get that. See, I didn't really play. I played 1 year of football. I played in 8th grade. And this, I'll tell a little bit of a story, I guess. But, in 8th grade, I played. It was fun. It was a good time. But that was the first year I ever played. So, all these other guys, they had experience. They knew what they were doing. I'm smart, so I kind of, that sounded a little airheady. But, I have a little bit of a brain on me. So, I could catch on pretty quick to the play side and stuff of, okay, this is what this does. This is how this works. So I understood a little bit of it, and I played tight end. Did a lot more blocking than I did catching. But I do remember my first catch was a Hail Mary, I think. I'm pretty sure. It was at the end of the second quarter. So I remember I was running, and I looked up, I was like, oh, that ball's coming at me. Oh, no. And so I ran. I caught it, and I was running. And this is before Meadowbrook had their turf. So it was just grass and some lines. So I was running. And I thought the 5-yard line was the end zone. So I was still running, but I slowed up a lot. So I was like running, like, oh good, I made it. And then I got tackled like this far from the end zone it was the last play of the half. So like we just had to go to half. But that was my first catch. That's all I remember. And then something else I remembered from 8th grade was. I was sitting there, or I wasn't sitting there. We were playing football, so I was running around. But it was, I don't think it was any special play or anything. But I ran out. I ran a post, so I run to the corner, and I'm wide open. I see the ball's coming right at me from Dalton. Dalton Wiggins.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So perfect spiral, obviously, because it's Dalton Wiggins. But so it's coming in. I'm right here. I'm like ready to catch it, and then I see another one of our buddies run over. It was like a deer jumping over a fence. I'm just sitting there ready to catch it, and I see this guy come up in front of me, jump up, and catch this ball in the end zone. So it was a touchdown regardless. But it was so I just remember that I was like, oh no, I was so sad. But it's 8th grade. It doesn't matter. But then going into our freshman year, and this shows you where I'm very hard-headed. Yeah, I'm very. I want to do my own thing. So, me and football didn't really work out because to play football, I understand it now, but at the time, coaches are going to yell real hard at you, and I don't mind the yelling. I took it a lot in basketball, but just like
Yeah.
when it's excessive, I'm almost like, but I understand it now. It's what's necessary. But I remember we were playing. It was just practice, and I was lined up. I was playing weak side, whatever, linebacker, and I'm sitting there, and what happened? I'm trying to remember it exactly. I'm sitting there and he calls whatever, whatever means I'm going to the left side. I know strong side's going right side, so he calls right, like he calls strong side right. So I'm over here on the left, and he's, it's just a quiet day. There's no fans yelling. There's no one screaming, and he yells whatever the word, I forget what it, but he was yelling in my ear, whatever, left, and I'm like, oh, like I'm in the wrong spot, and so I'm like, I know I'm in the right spot, but I was like, he's still yelling it, so I ran over to the right side, and then after that play, he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, you were yelling left, but I was on the left, or whatever, and he's like, well, just because I'm yelling at you doesn't mean you're wrong. And, I understand, like, because I'd never played in high school, so they have to yell really loud.
Oh, yeah.
Because the game's going on, there's so many people yelling and screaming, everything's... So I get it, but at the time, I'm like, I was doing it right, don't yell at me. And so, in my head, I'm like, I'm not doing this. So I ended up not playing at all. Almost played senior year, but I ended up not doing that either for other reasons. But that's, like, the extent of my football career.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say throughout my football career, there's been so many like JV moments that I still remember. Like, as I remember going into like sophomore year and stuff like that. I feel like after the first 2 games, I started giving the nickname to JV team where it's calling them the revenge team, because it was like in times of like varsity losing, I'd go up to like some of the JV players and be like, hey, just be ready for tomorrow. We're in revenge on this team. Oh. So next day, it'll be like 7 or 8 in the morning. We'd get up, go. We'd either be going straight to the stadium, or we'd be going to the stadium and hanging on the bus to however many miles to the other team's place. Mm-hmm. And then I'd be like, this is our revenge game. So... And I still remember, like, there's been so many times where we got revenge on teams.
That's cool. Like, so you get beat and then you go beat them Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be like Saturday, 10 a.m. and all that. There wouldn't be as many people sometimes as it's 10 in the morning, right. So it's like...
Yeah, I've been
some
to a few
people
JV games. Yeah. But I remember our 8th grade year, we were really good. I think we went 8-1 or something like that. But we would have more, and it might be just us being young and... your imagination, you imagine it this way when you're young. But I think we had more fans at our 8th grade games than we did the high school games. But, as our group grew up, some of us... But they still had a really good group going into high school. But I just remember I'd go to those games, I'm like, this looks like a high school football game. We'd have hundreds and hundreds of people there. And I'm like, this is crazy.
There's been a few JV games where we'd have sometimes we'd have a Monday night JV game, and sometimes those ones were always so exciting, as it was like we had more people at them, as not many people had much to do on Monday night except for maybe watch Monday Night Football later on. But we'd be playing Monday night sometimes. Like, I remember the one time we played Monday night my sophomore year was against Buckeye Trail, and this was my first time in JV starting at special teams, mm-hmm. at kickoff and kick return. So we hit the opening kickoff and as I'm running down the field, whoever's at the ball, immediately I get nailed by this big, huge lineman-sized dude, and I'm just looking up at the ground. I'm like, well, this is White Monday. Okay. And then next half it was we were kicking off in for the next half. And Buckeye Trail as coming down the field, coming down to like near their sideline, mm-hmm. and he breaks tackle right in front of me, and which leaves me an open spot. So I try to like wrap up, but he's like much taller than me, so I had to like wrap like around here, around like the waist and that. Then I had to wrap the chest area right here, and twist him around, and then immediately, like, as I'm on the ground, I still have my hand on his chest, and I just see him it was slam right into the
That's fun.
ground. And that was like my very first solo tackle of
Really?
my career.
That's
so
cool.
I was so excited coming out the sidelines, giving high fives and that.
Yeah, that's really cool. You have any first you remember from football other than that?
Oh yeah, like there's, I mean, other than the revenge games and that, there was one time we traveled all the way to John Marshall to play them in a JV game, and one of the players forgot who was like our best defensive player, forgot their helmet. And of course, our JV coach is like, "How do you forget your helmet? It's the heaviest thing, one of the heaviest
Literally.
things in your bag." So he's going around to some of the players like who has like the same who has like the same size at who and let me borrow their helmet, and of course I had the same size, so he borrowed my helmet during the game. So since I was on the special teams, it would always be I'd OM going on kickoffs, come down the field, and then right as the kickoff's ending, he's coming on the field, so I'm taking off my helmet, giving it to him.
Oh, that's cool.
And,
Who was that again?
Seth Obi.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it was
So you just called him out for leaving his helmet at home.
yeah, and it was actually and it was actually a pivotal moment in the JV game as he made so many tackles that game, I think, and we ended up winning the game by feels like we won it by 4 or 6 points. So, and so many people after the game, I remember one of my teammates, as we're in the break, he's like, "Hey, everyone, unthank Lil Webb for giving Seth his helmet so he can play."
That's funny. And so, what was that? What about other sport? What about baseball, basketball? Outside of maybe playing those, what are you doing? Did you play any other sports?
The only other sport that I did was track and field during spring. I was a thrower.
Okay.
So,
What'd you throw? Discus or shot or?
I did both, but I
right.
was mostly discus because
Okay.
shot put. I only threw I think my best was 25 feet or something like that. When other people Garrett pretty much throw twice that.
Right. Yeah. And I am excited. I know we still got half of basketball season left, but I'm excited for spring sports because they didn't get to have those last year.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be super fun. Plus,
Do you do any filming for that too?
oh yeah, I was gonna do a track meet, but then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And all that, and then also I did one softball game. I was gonna do some other ones, and then baseball. That one I pretty much filmed that, and the year I started doing that was the year they made to the district semifinals. But
okay.
that one they lost to St. Clairsville, who later went on to state Final Four, and all that. So, and it was a close game, that one. 'Cause it was Cambridge had the lead, 2. I think it was 3-1. Then all of a sudden, St. Clairsville came back to win it.
So they were winning. What was it? 2-1.
Yeah, I think it was either 2-1 or 2-0, and then St. Clairsville came all the way back.
That's rough. I remember. I think baseball was my favorite sport in high school, so I remember a lot of baseball memories. We went to, I don't know where we were playing, but we went and we were in the tournament. But I think this was our freshman year, and so freshman year baseball, our varsity team, we started 6 freshmen and 3 sophomores. No juniors, no seniors. I think we had 1 or 2 juniors or seniors, but we started 6 freshmen, 3 sophomores, and we got beat a lot. I mean, we got destroyed, but we ended up in the playoffs, and we were the last seed, and we were playing. Oh, there's a really good There's a really good baseball school down on the river somewhere. I don't think I think River's decent too, but I forget who it is. But we were playing. They were the 2 seed at the time, and we ended up beating them. Our pitcher threw a no hitter, and he was a sophomore at the time, Austin Clinton. I don't know, but he threw a no hitter or a one hit. I think it was a no hitter, but it was just like it was amazing because that was like I think one of my favorite baseball memories. And actually, my senior year, I only could designated hit because I tore my labrum in my throwing arm, so my right arm, and I didn't get it checked out till after the season because I wanted to play. I was like, it hurts, but it didn't hurt to swing. I could do that, but I couldn't do anything overhead. So I remember just DHing all year, and we did okay. We had an okay season, but baseball was fun. I'm excited to see how, with, I guess those two sentences don't go together. I'm excited and with COVID, but I'm excited to see what changes and how we can adapt to make, baseball, softball, track season work with, video, because I think a lot of these schools are going to need, live streams and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like that. Yeah, like, I still remember, what was it, summer baseball that was going on, and that I was doing a lot of filming there and all that, and that it was weird, as also they didn't really have much restriction on fans in that.
Really? Well, and that's what I'm curious about too, is with baseball, softball, track would be a little more difficult, but with those two, I think you can get a lot of, you could almost park on the fence line, and just sit in your car and watch. Yeah. You're not afraid of getting hit with a home run.
I was about to say, or the one idea that I actually had when summer baseball was about to start up was, since Cambridge was at the city park and that, I was like, why don't they do like, kind of like with 4th of July, they bought off that little street section there. So I was like, what if they bought off that street section and give that to like, all right, fans, and be around here and be watching around the fence and stuff like that.
Maybe we can, maybe we need to talk to some towing and repair companies and get some dump trucks and some stuff out there. We can just hoist everyone up in the air, make them some money. That's a good idea.
Oh yeah, I think there was I saw when I was stuck inside, and that during like much of May, and that I was seeing soccer was returning for some of these other countries in Europe. Yep. One country in Europe, their team returned but had like no capacity crowd. The crowd was outside. Some of them rented those big, huge trucks, and that with the big, huge carrying thing, and they were just watching the game from those things and had street flares.
That's funny.
And there was a picture of it. I was like, oh my goodness.
And how about